Storytelling for me is the best part of marketing.
Welcome to the Real Estate Executive Thought Leadership Podcast, a fast-paced show featuring focused insights from executive thought leaders in the real estate industry.
For episode 1, we'll interview Danielle Garofalo, Chief Business Development Officer at Core Real Estate. She's going to share her story of getting started in marketing at Disney and subsequently rising to an executive position at New York's leading luxury real estate firm. We'll talk about emerging trends, leadership, marketing strategy, tracking results, and more. Let's get started. Hi, Danielle. Welcome to the show, and thank you for being our guest.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really looking forward to our chat.
Yes, appreciate it. Let's start a little bit with your professional background. What is your background in marketing?
So my background in marketing actually started back at Disney. I always go back to the beginning of my internship with Disney because I learned so much from the Disney executives. The executives actually taught classes in marketing. So it was different than just, kind of like a working internship. Well, there was a work component to it. We also had classes taught by like organizational leadership and digital marketing and synergy taught by Disney executives in that field. So it was really for me where I learned so much that I took a lot of that with me. I still use a lot of it today. Then I worked as an IBM contractor after that. And then I started working in real estate in digital marketing. So through that, I transitioned to a role that's business development, but I still oversee a majority of the marketing here. And that's sort of my path here, which is very interesting path.
And you work for Core Real Estate. Tell us a little bit about the firm.
Yeah, I work for Core Real Estate. We're the top boutique real estate firm here in New York City. We also do projects. And when I say do projects, we will consult on the pre-development and marketing for projects outside of New York City. So San Francisco, Miami, cities like that. And we also do resale. So we are, full service and we're small, but we're mighty. So that's most important, especially at this time.
So share a little bit about your educational background. I see you got a certificate at Harvard.
I did. I graduated with a degree in psychology, and I wanted to kind of extend my marketing knowledge. So I applied for this program at Harvard. It was actually the first digital marketing program that they offered there. Social media and digital marketing were a full-on degree. So Harvard offered this digital strategy program, and it was fascinating. I learned I was in a class with executives from the Washington Post and Amazon and the team who did the marketing from the World Cup. So it was a really interesting, diverse group of people. And I learned a lot about strategy and analytics. And I've had these experiences where I've been able to take so much with me and apply it to not only real estate, but, different industries I consult with as well.
What appeals to you about marketing? So you're a marketing professional. Do you consider marketing to be an art?
I do, as much as any other art form, because the best thing that I like about marketing, I like storytelling.
Yeah.
And I think that everyone's story is so interesting from, how, just like we're talking about today, kind of how you started to where you are. And, the brand has that. And, so do different homes that we do with real estate, with telling the story of a building as it comes to life and then as it becomes someone's home. So storytelling for me is the best part of marketing. And I truly, it is an art form to tell a wonderful story about something that, whether you're going to live in it or you're going to buy it and wear it. It's certainly an interesting part of marketing for me.
Yes. I found that that's really what helps prospects connect with the brand, is that story.
Yeah, it's humanizing it. And now more than ever, that's what brands need to do. So it's interesting how you can turn something like that into, personifying, something like a building. So it's very interesting.
Yes. Okay. So before we talk more about your company, I'd just like to hear more about your professional direction. What does success look like for you in 5 and 10 years?
Oh, wow. That is a good question. For 5 and 10 years, what it looks like for me. I do love real estate, and I certainly, the projects that we are working on are never like just now. They're always sort of, you know, 4 or 5 years in the future. So I think for me, working on more projects like that would certainly be exciting. And I think success also means having a good balance between both, having a great professional life and being able to kind of balance that with a successful private life is really important, because sometimes one overtakes the other.
Yeah.
And I think we all know which one. So
Yes.
for me, the success down the road is, I know everyone kind of like goes for the dollar and sees a dollar amount, but I think balancing the two things you love, which is, my career and, my personal life, that would be success for me.
Yes. And that ties into another question, is how do you decompress from daily business as an executive?
Thank God for Peloton. So, Peloton certainly running, and I do. I travel a lot, and I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie. So, while that wouldn't seem to normal people, I think, to be a way to decompress, it certainly is for me. So, whether that's jumping off of something high or mountain biking or anything really, I've run the gamut on things that I've done that are sort of daredevilish type of things that I think most people, when they see the stuff that I do on my Instagram, are like, what? But it's a way to certainly decompress for me. And no, it's not the norm.
They'll definitely take your mind completely off of business.
Yeah, if you have to like survive as you're, jumping off of a cliff, that'll totally take your mind off of work that day.
Okay. So what professional development tools or resources are you reading or engaging with right now?
So it's interesting. I am constantly, so I know that this is not like conventional, like people are always kind of like taking courses and stuff like that. But I actually find having networking with people who are, way more accomplished and have been around for a long time and have seen different markets. I find kind of listening to what they say and just learning from them helps me tremendously. I certainly read a lot, but I find that hearing from experiences of people and not just like telling them like about my life and just listening to theirs is really the most valuable, I'd say, like courses that you can take.
Let's talk about your company. You touched on it. Who is your target market? What type of prospects are you serving at Core Real Estate?
We target luxury buyers. We build, we work with our developers. They build luxury products. And so, I don't think in Manhattan, when we talk numbers, I find myself sometimes like, did I really just say it's only a $5 million sale? And so that seems sort of weird, but anywhere else like to speak about that's a high-end buyer. So that's typically who we market to and build products for.
So what is Core Real Estate's value proposition, and what is the core competency?
It's very funny when I think about Core and I think about us as a real estate company. I'm reminded that something my boss, the CEO, the founder of my company, Sean Osher, says often is that we're a marketing company that just happens to sell real estate. So we are, development marketing done right. And I think that's something, the reason why people have come back to us again and again. We have a very distinct style. And while we can certainly pivot to different types of projects, it all has that same look. It's really well done. It's high level. And so that's, for us, we are, marketing development done right.
What ways are you generating value for your prospects and stakeholders?
I think the value that we have is, like I said, it's sort of different how we qualify. We certainly don't take on every project that comes our way. We are very specific about the projects that we take on. So we're not, dealing with quantity, a ton of quantity. We're dealing with quality. So if it's a project that we are going to take on, we're going to do, that to the best and highest. I think that's what most people know when they work with us, is that, that's how we're going to drive value, is we're going to do the best. We're not going to do the most.
What is the primary focus of your growth and marketing strategy?
So our growth and marketing strategy at Core has always been that we sort of we do it with thought behind it. We don't just grow to say we are the biggest. We are like that. Really, when I say that, I repeat it often about, in a bunch of different areas, but we'd like to do things thoughtfully. So if we're going to grow, if we're going to go into another market, there's going to be a reason why we're going to go there. We're not just going to go there because everybody else just opened an office there. And I think that kind of in the real estate industry with, especially in the last like 2 or 3 years, people have just grown to grow and say that, hey, we're the biggest and we have this office here. And in reality, was it a smart idea to open up that office there? So for Core, we've always been kind of, we've done things, with a purpose. And so that's kind of the, that's sort of our philosophy on everything.
Where do you envision the Core brand going in the 2020s?
We'll probably be doing a lot more new development marketing in different markets. I think we'll extend to more markets, but like I said, it's not one of those things that, I can even put a number on it and say, oh, we'll be in 10 markets in like 5 years. Because if it only makes sense for us to go to one, well, then that's the one that we'll go to. And that's, we'll do it the best. And I think that, kind of how you do anything is how you do everything. So we really don't do things just to kind of say we've done them. And I think that there are different markets that we can go in and really have an impact in. And the markets that we're looking to do that, maybe it'll make sense to do one project there before we really kind of build a presence. So that's where I see for us, that's where I see us doing is, entering other markets, but doing it in a thoughtful way.
Let's touch on the trends that you're seeing in the marketplace and in the industry. What trends do you see in the industry or marketplace, and how are you adapting to them?
Real estate tends to sort of stay the same. The marketing sort of stays the same. And then, if everybody sees, a company going to like Art Basel, well, everybody's going to go to Art Basel and do, just because one other company did it. So the trend in real estate has actually always been to do what everyone else is doing, just to say that, we're all doing it together. What we've sort of done at Core, and this is why we've won 2 years in a row for the Real Trends Best Video, is that we don't go with the trends. We create new ones. And I think that for us has been, there's a trend right now in video where like there's a spin and then a zoom, and it's like, no, what we've always done with video is we've walked through with a quality shot and we've shown you how a person would experience a property. And so while there's a trend there that is happening in video, we're not going to be a part of it. And that's kind of why we've just sort of look to like raise the bar. So when I see a trend, I'm always interested to know what's going on. It's not that I'm not, I'm up on everything, but I think often it's not a trend with a thought behind it. I think it's because someone saw someone else do it and then everybody just joined. So, that's certainly, and, we certainly, we certainly pride ourselves on being trendsetters and not followers.
What are the most significant external challenges you're facing in scaling the business?
Right now, it would be coronavirus. And I think that for New York, we are a hotspot and we, obviously, however many times more than everyone else is. And so, you wonder kind of how the market will bounce back and how you can have that balance between not only marketing and, doing your duty toward your clients, but being thoughtful and understanding that right now everyone is kind of focused on health and finances, and you don't want to kind of be insensitive to those at all. And so I think the growth is going to be, at what point you can kind of hit the gas a little bit on the marketing and sort of push forward, and then when you can pull back. And I think that that's the challenge in the near future until in New York, we see some sort of, return to normalcy, but I don't want to sound stupid because there really isn't going to be a normal, and, who can tell the future, but, so that's our challenges right now.
How will the recession influence your approach, and what contingencies are you planning?
What we've done is, listen, like everybody else, we had to make some hard decisions, but fortunately for Core, we run lean anyway. So it, if we have to pull back, we're not, a company that has like big offices or, something like that, where we really don't focus on, we'd rather have our work speak for itself versus a client coming into our office and having it, be this lavish, spot. So, the plans for the recession, I mean, is just how we can support our clients, and not necessarily, anything that we would be doing differently at Core. We have a really small team, like I said, and my COO is right. She always says, we're small but mighty, and that's who we are. So that part of it is planned. But I think that the supporting our clients through the recession that's happening because of a pandemic is the challenge, and that's really the most important thing.
Is sustainability part of your strategy?
What we always find very interesting is how people are building now, and what's important now within that project versus, what may not have been in another project earlier. So I think, yes, it's very important to us. And of course, the most important thing, is important to our customers and our clients, and developers understand that. So certainly, that's always been a part of who we are.
So let's talk a little bit about operations and leadership at Core. How important has monitoring and tracking been for your marketing campaigns?
Here's one thing I said last year when I was speaking at Inman. I wanted everyone to kind of like raise their hand when they're talking about like running ads or campaigns or something like that. And, everyone in the room raised their hand. And then how many of those people track them? And the majority of the hands surprisingly went down. If you are not tracking something, you shouldn't be doing it. There at this point, there's so many, it's really difficult to, everyone's looking for ROI on, whether it's content or something. And so there's so few ways to track ROI that if you have the ability to do it, you should be doing it. That is, for us, and for how we're able to run, being able to give a report to a client on, anything that, any campaign that we've started and are tracking, the reporting is essential, and there's no point in doing it if you can't report it.
What KPIs do you focus on, and what numbers do you like to see?
Two things. So what we focus on, and again, because we run a little differently here, is like people metrics. So kind of like turnover rate, and how, internally we've had a lot of people at Core who have been here a long time. And I think, I know that for Sean and the team, that's really important that our culture stays the same, and that we have, a really happy group. And I think, that that's very important. So that's a KPI we measure internally. And externally, it's, customer satisfaction and retention. And I think that, our clients who come back to us again and again, I certainly think that, of course, we track normal KPIs that, performance metrics and dollars and all of that. But the most important thing is if your clients are happy and they come back. And so those are really the two things that we really focus on at Core.
How would you describe your leadership style?
So I think to a fault, sometimes I am hands off. I mean that in a sense of, I work for people who are I don't know if you're watching the Michael Jordan documentary right now, but Phil Jackson kind of just let Dennis Rodman be who he was. And that's kind of how our company rolls. And we really, I was actually talking about this with my COO the other day. I'm very appreciative to work for people like that. And I think that being hands off in a sense and allowing people to be who they are is really the way to get the most out of them. And I certainly appreciate being managed that way. And it's, how it goes down the line. So that's kind of what we all find the most success with, not when are you sitting in your chair, what time did you get in, all that stuff. People are different, and they need to this isn't a one size fits all type of a thing, or you won't be successful.
How do you motivate your team?
I bake. So I do bake a lot. But I think I motivate my team in the same way that I motivate myself, and that, I'm always excited that we have an opportunity to pitch a new project, or that we have an opportunity that, we wouldn't normally have had. And so the harder we work and the better output that comes from our team, the more opportunities like that we'll have. So that for me is super motivating. And I think it is for everyone around me. So I am on the perfect team because, we all sort of have a very similar mindset.
Let's talk about marketing. So how are you engaging in thought leadership?
So I'm going to laugh because, we always joke around at work about like, are you a thought leader? And that word is thrown around so often about so many different people and so many different mediums. And being a thought leader, I'm not so sure. Here's what I believe. I think that if you're a thought leader, there's so many people out there who are selling like coaching and all of these different classes, and that's really great. I mean, there are people who can benefit from, working in that sort of environment. Like I buy a course and but for me, being a thought leader is actually how much of that am I willing to share with everybody? And when I learn something, how can I help people apply it to whatever it is that they're doing? So whether that's through a blog or an Instagram, like on my Instagram, every Friday, I open up my stories and I do kind of like an ask me anything sort of thing about marketing. And I'll answer questions like throughout the day. Today I actually did an Instagram live question and answer with another friend of mine who is a chief digital officer at an agency. And I think giving back, because I didn't get here just, sort of like someone put me here. I learned from other people. And I think that being a thought leader is sharing and giving back what you know and helping build another generation of thought leaders. So, that's for me, that's how I view it.
Is an inbound content strategy worth the time and expense?
Yeah, now more than ever. I think, focusing on, content that matters to people and that they can relate to and really engage with and get some value out of more than ever. Yeah, now for sure.
How vital are website and social marketing?
So website is funny, right? Because a website, if you have a blog or, again, whatever it is, whether it's social media or it's a website or something, whatever it is, a blog, podcast, like your podcast here, you provide value. Like this is value to people right here. Hearing, whoever is talking, you're walking away with something that you can say, I can apply that to whatever. So wherever you are, whether it's a website that you can drive traffic to or social media that you can have, a huge network on, if there's value there, either or, depending on the network and how, I don't necessarily like, I know that there's this kind of like need to choose one or the other, but if you have a lot of value on your website, well, I'll come to your website. Or if your social media is really valuable, I'll come to your social media. So that's kind of like how you have to look at it all through the, the eyes of like value and where your network is.
Is PR part of your strategy?
Yeah, it is, because they all go hand in hand, right? So I think when, PR is divorced from social media and then nobody is, paying attention to when you run print ads or digital ads, when these things don't speak, none of them are effective. So certainly PR is a valuable part of our strategy for sure.
And what channels are you finding the best ROI from?
Right now, Instagram. I think we see a lot of traction on Facebook ads as well. But Instagram right now seems to be, right at the moment seems to be the thing. I had a question the other day, and again, like I have to say this like everywhere I talk. Somebody asked me again about like TikTok, and I'm like, yes, it's valuable. If you're putting out content about people slip sliding on banana peels and falling into a puddle, like, yeah, that's valuable. But, right now it depends on depends on who your audience is. And for us, it's Instagram. That's where our audience is.
Is conventional broadcast media worth the money?
Depends. It depends on the who, right? Because people are going to tune into this podcast for you. And they're going to tune into this podcast, not necessarily to hear me, but how I interact with you and what you ask me. So, depending on who's broadcasting, certainly. And I think that there's a way to kind of like build that up. But if you don't have the credibility or you don't have kind of, the name recognition, it'll be difficult to get me to want to be there. Mm-hmm. So it's valuable depending, I would say, on, who's broadcasting.
Are you leveraging TV and radio in the New York market?
Not right now. No, not right now. I know that I've seen that there are some projects that have done TV ads, but we aren't right now. We're really focused on where people are, and where people are right now are on their devices, and they're on their devices almost 24/7. And the engagement is, like much longer than it normally was. And actually during this time where, before, pre-corona, you would do more on mobile. Now people are actually, because they're at home, are sitting in front of their computers. So making it optimized for desktop is as important as well. So it's interesting.
Is print still effective?
Core was built 15 years ago. And Sean's idea 15 years ago was that print is not important. We don't do print campaigns. So we haven't done print campaigns for 15 years. And look where we are. Mm-hmm. So I think for certain things, yes, there are certain demographics that are going to be in Architectural Digest, and they'll certainly get a lot of value out of that. But for the most part, we don't do print.
What is the most crucial element in positioning your brand?
We're a small brand, and we kind of get lost. We have the potential to get lost among the giants. And I think the most important way to differentiate us from anyone else is that our marketing is so different, and our marketing is at such a higher level. We hold ourselves to a much higher standard. I know this because when I look around and I see and I see how our team works and how we think, we hold ourselves to a much higher standard. So anything that we put out has had a ton of thought behind it, and it shows. So that for us is I would say a crucial, that our marketing stands out as being the best and being of a very high quality.
Can you share a story about a successful campaign?
I will tell you the most recent campaign for us, which, it was very exciting. And I loved the interaction. What we decided to do during coronavirus was not, push our properties and, push everything out for, just to get it out there, just so everybody knows that we're still out here too. And we're a real estate company. What we did was we took our agents, and we wanted to still kind of get everyone out in front of everyone, but we wanted to do it in a thoughtful way, and something that would, again, I'll go back and I'll say this again. I know I say it a lot, but provide value. And I think that providing value to people at this time is crucial, because they're bombarded by such, negative news, and just, it's just a crazy time. So if there's something that we can do to help you, we did. We ran a campaign called Core at Home, and we asked our agents questions. Number one, a book you recommend, a TV show or a movie that you are binge watching. What is an activity that you're doing at home that you can, share with us that other people can do too? Not, meaning that, like, if you're in the Bahamas right now, not everybody can do that. So something that you're doing at home that everyone can kind of do. Number four, a restaurant in the area that you are frequenting right now, ordering from. And we would tag the restaurant so everyone would know that they're open and they're still delivering. And number five, how are you helping your clients? So we put this on our stories every day, a different agent. Tag the book, tag the TV show. If we could find a picture of the activity, something like that, then tag the restaurant, and then, the little blurb about what agents were doing. This campaign has been wildly successful. And again, because it's not us saying to you, hey guys, when this is all over, we're still selling real estate. No, this is us saying to you, we're all still people. We're just like you. We're reading books, we're ordering food. And, this is our suggestion to you during this time. And so not only has this been successful on the part of our clients and customers messaging us, but the businesses as well, because people who did not know that a certain restaurant is now, that would normally never be doing takeout is doing takeout. They really appreciate that we sort of put a spotlight on how they're surviving during this time and spreading the word. So that for us has been wildly successful. And I'm really, really proud of our agents, because they jumped all over it.
I hear you're starting a new podcast for women in the workforce.
I am. So something that's very important to me is giving back. My mother was very involved in my thinking about this growing up, that, we really do need to honor the women who, sort of blazed the trail for us, and help the next generation of women do the same. So during this time, I know that there's a lot of, uncertainty in the job market, and people are going to look to change careers, and some people maybe retire or start a new business. And I just think that I have had so many conversations with female executives who have a story that needs to be shared somewhere, and that another woman can hear the story and say, wow, may not be the exact same situation that I'm in, but I can apply this to what I'm going through. So it's basically anyone who, whatever age you are, whatever stage in your career you are, an intern to a C-level to, a retiree, something where you could take something from their story and apply it to your future success. So that it's called the Folding Chair Podcast. And that's after Shirley Chisholm's quote, if they don't have a seat for you at the table, bring a folding chair. And so that is going to be launching in the next couple of weeks. I'm really excited. And I just, just the interviews that I've had so far, I can't wait to share them, because, these are CEOs who are telling you how, the hard times that they started with. It's just nice to know that people who are at that level, there is that kind of perception that, all right, well, they've just been put there. No, they've had as many problems along the way as the rest of us. And it's awesome to hear. So I'm super, super excited to start that.
How can listeners learn more about the podcast?
Thefoldingchairpodcast.com.
Okay.
It'll be live on iTunes May 15th. So
great.
We'll go from there.
Forward to that.
Thanks.
Okay, what is one closing marketing insight you'd like to share for executives targeting growth?
For executives targeting growth, I think right now what people need to understand, and I think, this was before, during, after, this is kind of like an evergreen rule. It's not always about you. And it really is all about the customer. I think what I learned at Disney is, hospitality matters. Good hospitality matters. And that's who we are at Core. Really, really successful companies understand this, and they understand how to make it about their customers and their clients, and how to kind of make them feel like they are part of the brand, and how to make them feel that it really is all about them. So any marketing that you're doing should be not just to talk about how wonderful you are, how this or that. It really should be about empowering and making your customers and clients feel that they are the most important part of what you do.
Well, thank you so much for the interview, Danielle. I really appreciate your insights and your experience.
Thank you. This was so wonderful. I'm really grateful for the opportunity, Kirky. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. Please like or subscribe to get updates on upcoming podcasts.